Hey YouTube, welcome back to Tea, Books and Dave, and this week I'm going to be covering my second book of the set of 3 that I picked up at Summer in the City this year, which is Vivian Versus The Apocalypse by Katie Coyle. Now usually when I do these reviews I have the book with me and I like to actually show you guys it, but I can't this time because I've already lent that book to a friend. I think that kind of like sets up this book quite nicely. I loved this book. This book focuses on 17-year-old American Vivian Apple, whose parents have recently joined the Church of America. The leader of the Church of America recently announced the oncoming apocalypse of the world and said that only loyal, honest, and good Americans, i.e. members of the Church of America, are going to survive the apocalypse. Now Vivian herself doesn't believe this and she goes to a party on what's called Rapture's Eve. She comes home the day after expecting to see her parents and for everything to be a-okay, and then she goes into their bedroom, looks up and sees 2 giant holes in the ceiling, people-sized holes. And this is one area that I really like this book because you can almost divide it into 2 parts. The first part being how this young 17-year-old who's quite naive, quite sheltered living maybe, responds to her parents going missing, the apocalypse which she thought wouldn't exist, and now actually there's evidence that perhaps it has happened and that she's been left in a post-apocalyptic world. The second part of the book focuses on her journey to find out actually what has happened. What's happened to her parents, what's happened to America, what's happened to the church, what's happened to the world. On this journey she's joined by her best friend Harp. They along the way meet the natural love interest Peter, and there's also, and I quite like this character, I've forgotten what the character's name is and I don't have the book with me to check, but the religious girl that they meet, I really like that character because I think the best friend and the love interest are kind of like, I really like the way the characters are developed, but you expect those roles, and then you have this third character comes on board on their journey, and I just really like those dynamics. She's a pregnant, very religious person who's trying to work out why she's been left behind on this post-apocalyptic world. I really love the pace of this book. As I said, it can kind of be split into 2 parts, but even the second part splits into different levels, and each level that they go through, each part of the story they go through, is given the right amount of time. Nothing's rushed and nothing's kind of like unnecessarily drawn out. One area that I did feel was a little bit drawn out was when they meet one of the antagonists, just because for me there's a lot of like talking around stuff that maybe we'd either known before or we'd guessed already, but I feel that conversation was still quite a necessary one to just like sum up a lot of the things that have happened before that point. But for me the biggest positive in this book is the characters, the way the characters are written, even the kind of stereotypical, the love interest, the best friend. Katie Coyle takes a really unique twist on each of those characters and she makes them very authentic, very organic. They each have their own issues, they each have their own stories to tell. They're each going through the journey for their own reasons and their outcomes are all very individual. And I really like that. They're not reliant on Vivian or Vivian's story or Vivian as a character. In fact, at the start, Vivian is very reliant on her best friend. And there's a lot of that relationship goes through a lot of transitions. And that's really nice to see. The character of Vivian is just fantastic. Because at the start, I personally found it really a bit annoying. She had a sheltered life and she was quite like, just wet behind the ears. And then she's thrown into this world that is post-apocalyptic, and at the start she doesn't know what to do. She sees her grandparents, goes off to her grandparents for a bit, then she meets up with her friends a bit. A little bit of a spoiler there, I apologise, but the transition that she goes through as a character is a very gradual one. It's one that you don't necessarily, there's no moment where you go, oh my god, yes, that's exactly what changes her. But you get to different points, you go, my god, she wouldn't have reacted like that at the start of the book. Like, old Vivian would not have reacted that way. And other characters in the book, especially Harp, bring attention to that. And then near the end, she meets one of the people is very core to the story. No spoilers. And you're in a situation where you think she's going to go back to old Vivian. And I kind of started, I was like, no, don't do this. Oh, you idiot, to the character. And I was like, I was so feeling Katie Coyle got on this done. I was like feeling really negative, and then Katie Coyle completely flips on its head to say this character has changed. And I really like that, because I thought it was going to go like, oh yeah, this is the way it goes, and then it didn't. And it leads in very nicely to its sequel, which has now come out. So I will be going and getting that. If you like kind of futuristic dystopian books, if you like young adults generally, this is the book to get. I'm really excited for the future, and I'm not going to do a spoiler side of it, because there wasn't like a major spoiler that I need to talk about that I haven't talked about already. But yeah, fantastic. Anybody that likes kind of, as I said, futuristic dystopian books, definitely put it in your book to read. And it would go up here, my cool books that I love, but I don't have the book with me. So when I get it back, it will go up on there. So that's 2 out of 2 now that have been really, really good. I'm not reading the third one yet because I don't want to. But I have, following on from reading this, I turned to the Booktube community on Facebook. I said, what books are like that, but from a male perspective? And another YouTuber who I've forgotten his name right now, I apologise, that is bad, recommended Ready Player One. Ready Player One? I think so. Yep, Ready Player One. I had to look up. My memory isn't good today. So that is my next book. I'm already about a quarter of the way through, and I'm really liking that as well. So I think I'm finding my book identity. And I've kind of always known that I kind of liked dystopian, futuristic novels and young adult novels, but I'm really quite liking them at the moment. So that's groovy. So yes, to conclude, I need to give out a 5 stars for Vivian Versus The Apocalypse. I'm going to give it 5 stars. I really, really like this book. I'm sure there were things that can be improved upon, definitely. I can't think of any right now, and I think that says a lot. I'm really excited for where the story will go in part 2, in Vivian Versus America. I'm hoping it's not just going to be the same thing. I don't think it will be. I think Katie Coyle is going to really kind of give us still a few more twists and turns. So I'm really excited for that. Until next time, look after yourselves, YouTube. Ta-ra.